Now, Emil, you made a mention a little earlier about how some things can go wrong at the White House. Back, or I should say, in these days when a president gives a speech from the White House, the anchors on all the networks and cable are given about 60 seconds to, hello, ladies and gentlemen, the president will be giving a speech and he'll be discussing, etc. And on a cue, the president is cued and he goes into his speech. Back in the early 50s, there were only 3 networks, and anchormen did not go to the White House to introduce the president. Announcers did. And I was lucky enough to do a few of those remotes from the White House during the Eisenhower administration. And Ike and his writers were pretty good. They were right to the, you know, when you held a remote, you had to keep it there until 29:30 or 59:30. You never threw it back to CBS control, which would screw up the network stations around the country. They had nothing to fill with. So we go down to the White House and everything is going smoothly. I've got a stopwatch. I knew exactly what time I would get it, probably around 29:15, 29:20 for my clothes. And it was like, from the nation's capital in Washington, D.C., CBS Television presents an address by the President of the United States, Dwight D. Eisenhower. Ladies and gentlemen, the President. And they would cue the President. I'm in a little room, a little ante-room. I think that may have been the room where Clinton and, what's her name? It was right off the Oval Office. And so anyway, they cue the President, he goes into it, and it passed addresses. The President was right on. His writers had everything packed. He would finish his speech at about 29:15, and then I would do the close. So anyway, on this one particular speech, the President says, "Thank you and good night." And I'm looking at my stopwatch, and it's 28 straight up. And the associate producer, Mike Marlowe, with CBS, said, and one thing they tell announcers, if you do anything with a politician or the President of the United States, you never discuss what the President spoke about, because you are dummies, and all you're supposed to do is do an open and a close. You don't have any sense on how to analyze what a president is saying. So anyway, I get this thing from the Mike Marlowe, the associate producer, and inwardly I'm saying, "Ike, you son of a..." I'm looking at the clock, and I said, "From Washington, D.C., you've been listening to an address by the President of the United States, Dwight D. Eisenhower." And I'm saying, "Now what are you going to say?" So I look at him and I said, "This evening the President was wearing a brown suit as he addressed the nation, and with a matching brown tie. He was very relaxed and talking to the camera, and he utilized his script very well." On the walls of the Oval Office, there are pictures of President George Washington and President Lincoln. The carpet on is blue with stars surrounding it. As a matter of fact, in back of the President's desk, in which he just addressed the nation, is a credenza. And on that credenza are pictures of his wife, Mrs. Mamie Eisenhower, his son John, and his grandson David. It was David whom the Catoctin Free Camp David, which he goes to quite frequently. As you know, the President is very interested in golf, and one of the first things he did when he took office was to have a putting green and a sand trap put in just outside the Oval Office. And when he wanted to take a break, he would just go out and practice his putting and some sand shots. From the nation's capital, President of the United States, Dwight D. Eisenhower. This is the CBS Television Network.